Bernie Sanders, it's in a strange twist of fate, has now become one or two, the first or second most powerful U.S. politician in the United Corporations of America. Let me say it again, and I'm about to explain to you why. Bernie Sanders, if he chooses to use that power, I did speak with somebody in Bernie's orbit today. I always keep it vague because I want to protect the source, who said he might actually start using some power for once. Colin Tooley made this wonderful graphic showing the current split. Jen, could you see the graphic?
Yes.
So on the left, we have Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. And on the right, we have Mitch, his turkey neck, and the Republicans. By the way, Mitch McConnell's wife, Elaine Chao, resigned yesterday. She was the transportation secretary. So right now it's a 50-50 tie. Obviously, we didn't get to cover the Georgia results because there was an attempted coup. Yes, it was a coup attempt. But you have 50 Democrats. That's technically 48 Democrats with 2 independents that vote with the Democrats, Bernie and Angus King of Maine. So how that works is it's a 50-50 tie, and the Democrats or Republicans need 51 votes to have a simple majority, which 51 votes to pass most legislation, to pass judges, but most importantly, legislation. So essentially, for the Democrats to get anything done, they need every Democrat, including Bernie and Angus King, who are independents, to vote yes, and then have Kamala Harris come in and do a tiebreaker. That's basically how the next 4 years is going to play. So, well, 2022, there are also Senate elections, but not as many as we just had. So why this is important, by my math, if you need every Democratic senator to vote yes, just to get it to a tie with Republicans, because Republicans are going to vote no for almost all of this. For argument's sake, let's say every single, or I don't know, let's say, no, that's a bad analogy. Bottom line, if the Democrats don't have, the Republicans pretty much are going to not vote for most of these things. The only Republicans that might vote for some of the neoliberal, watered down corporatist legislation that Joe Biden is going to go put in there. Yeah, if it's legislation that's all the way towards the Republicans will vote for it. But for how Biden is talking, he's not going to get any Republican votes. And honestly, Mitch McConnell is still the Senate minority leader. He was the majority leader. Now he's the minority leader. And we know Mitch McConnell, his MO is to block everything, or try to block everything. So he's going to have Republicans fall in line and try to obstruct Biden and the Democrats. So bottom line, let's say you have 49 Democrats vote for something, including Joe Manchin, who's, basically a Republican. But let's say Joe Biden wants to, I don't know, for argument's sake, do TPP. He'll change a few sentences, say it's, we've renegotiated it, it's better for workers. We had unions at the table, we had environmentalists at the table, and now it's good. And every Democratic votes for it, including Joe Manchin. If Bernie Sanders doesn't vote for it, the Democrats don't have 50 votes, which means the Democrats don't have a tie. If Bernie doesn't vote for certain things, or says, I will vote for it, but here's what I want in return, the Democrats will not reach 50 votes. Hence, Kamala Harris will not be able to break a tie. That is extreme power. That is an extreme source of power. And I had some people, Jen, on Twitter say, but Jordan, what about Joe Manchin? can't he block things? Well, who's more likely to block things? When I say things, let's start from the assumption, Jen. Most of what Biden is going to propose is going to be to the right of Obama. He's going to propose little incremental bullshit. He's going to try it. He's going to open negotiations 75% of the way to, what's his name? The Republicans. So why would Joe Manchin vote against Republican light legislation that Joe Biden is probably going to propose? So yes, technically Joe Manchin, other than Bernie, could be the one trying to block things. But I don't see Joe Manchin, who has way more in common with Joe Biden than Bernie Sanders does. I would think that Joe Manchin is going to go along with most of what Biden wants. But Bernie Sanders, if he, again, keyword, if he chooses to leverage Bernie Sanders can pretty much hold Joe Biden and the Democratic Party hostage for the next at least 2 years. Joe Biden announcing Marty Walsh for labor secretary. He's Boston's mayor. He happens to be corrupt, but we expect that with Joe Biden. When he announced Marty Walsh as labor secretary, Joe Biden had given an explanation saying, I was strongly considering Bernie Sanders for this position, but after Democrats won the Senate, Bernie and I both agreed it was too important for Bernie to stay in the Senate because there would be no guarantee that if Bernie was appointed labor secretary, that Vermont's governor would appoint a Democrat or an independent like Bernie to replace Bernie. That is just not true because the Vermont senator had already said, I'll show you, the Vermont governor, whose name is Phil Scott. Scott said, I think this was in October, actually. Scott said he would only appoint someone to fill the seat who, Scott said, if Sanders is tapped for labor secretary, but if ifs occur, he would prefer to appoint an independent who caucuses with the Democrats to fill the Senate seat temporarily. So he said, if Biden wins, if Scott himself is reelected, which he was, if Sanders is tapped for labor secretary, he would prefer to appoint an independent who caucuses with the Democrats to fill the seat temporarily. So he said, I would replace potentially Bernie if he was gone. I'd replace him with an independent who votes with the Democrats. But putting that aside, the fact that Biden is lying, let's say for argument's sake, Bernie did agree that I'll stay in the Senate because we don't want to risk it. Jen, good. Bernie Sanders, if he chooses, which is a big if, Bernie Sanders can block Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, and the Democratic Party from passing TPP. He could say if Joe Biden proposes that $1 trillion stimulus, Bernie Sanders said, yeah, I'm going to go home with Jane, watch Netflix. Let me know when it's $2 trillion. Because they don't have the votes without Bernie. Am I wrong?
Bernie doesn't know how to work Netflix. Come on.
Jane.
I don't know. I'm hoping that we get filibuster Bernie and calling for $2,000 stimulus checks Bernie and not let's give up Bernie. I, as a person.
Is my math wrong? Is my math wrong that Bernie Sanders
your math?
Yes.
No, your math's not wrong. I think you're completely right. But I'm saying, like, the chances of him using and wielding that power to its fullest extent, I don't know. Maybe I'm now conditioned to not hope too much. Politicians aren't our friends, and as we've seen now with AOC, you can put great hope into someone, but it doesn't always or often work out. Bernie, I think, will be strategic, but I think he's been kind of wounded by Trump, and I think he's like a little more gentle, like less hardcore than he was.
I want to read. I'm not going to get into who it is or anything like that, but somebody in Bernie's orbit, shall we say. Because I was talking to this person about, oh, are we actually going to see Bernie exert power, go for the jugular, not take any prisoners? Because he literally can block anything he wants. Or say, yeah, I'll vote for whatever crap you want, but I want this in return. And this person said to me, and I quote, "We haven't seen Bernie as a senator with real power until now. We haven't seen Bernie as a senator with real power until now." He also told me, I think Bernie will try to flex more muscle than we've seen previously. So
wow, I like that.
I am not naive. I think this is a big if. I'm not saying he will do this, but I would have to think as a human being, will he do it? Well, I don't know, Jen. If as a human being, I have been exploited by the Democratic Party for at least 20 years, specifically 5 years, had elections stolen from me by the Democratic Party for the last 5 years, had to go around and campaign for figures I detest in the Democratic Party, like Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden to a lesser degree. If I have had the Democratic Party give me sacrificial positions, like what did Chuck Schumer give him in 2017? Outreach chair. If I had to go around the country on a unity tour with Tom Perez, and every single time I then got left at the altar by this Democratic Party, who's then passed me off for labor secretary, then concocted a stupid app and rigged the Iowa caucus against me. I think if I finally had power to actually block their agenda, again, I'm not being dramatic. He could literally block Biden's agenda entirely if he wanted to. He'd be America's most hated man on CNN and MSNBC, but he'd actually be doing the right thing. I don't know. I might kind of want to return the favor a little bit. Obviously, he wants to do good. He wants Medicare for all and the policies, but this might be, all right, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore moment.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.